Well, welcome to our second training video. And for this section, we're going to be talking babies and toddlers. I wanted to divide down the age groups because each age has some unique characteristics and things involved. And so some of these practices may be things you know. You might be really familiar working with babies and toddlers, and things might be new. But some of these things are things that Kathy and I have learned over the years of ministry, of mommyhood, and now both of us are grandmothers. So we bring a lot of years of experience to the table. Oh, I'm trying to avoid saying we're old. We're not. We're just experienced. So I want to talk to you a little bit about babies and toddlers. And when you walk into a church and you're in the nursery situation, you're behind the door, you know, this is the age when a lot of first-time parents are dropping off their precious little ones for the very first time. They're nervous. They don't know. And now it's somebody who's not from the church, and that might make them a little bit nervous. And so make sure that from the very beginning you greet them. We talked about this with a smile. Introduce yourself and ask their name. Follow whatever the protocols are for that church as far as receiving their bag, a bottle, getting instructions. Most churches will have something for the parent to fill out for those instructions. If not, there is a place in your training manual for you to write some things down, write the baby's name, write things. And I would suggest labeling their bags and cups. If there's a piece or a roll of masking tape in the church, and maybe those are some things we can try to get to you. Hopefully parents have labeled everything, but boy, it gets tricky. And when things are busy and kind of crazy, most churches know that things need to be labeled. So take time to label, get the instructions that are needed, because you know what? You're not the parent. Parent is the parent, and they know best practices for their baby. And so you want to be sure to list that. And some mommies are going to say, this is a breastfed baby. If baby gets hungry, I need you to contact me. And other mommies are going to say there's a bottle in there and it's okay to give the bottle. And some mommies are scheduled mommies. I want my baby to eat at this specific time. And other mommies are more follow the lead. If baby seems hungry, tired, grumpy, follow their lead. And so you want to make sure that you are partnering with the parents and finding out their instructions for their child, and that's really important. You want to interact with those babies by rocking them and loving them, reading that to them, singing little songs, make up songs, sing song rhythms. And there may be in some nurseries a simple little song with words. Often curriculums will use common songs that you know and add in some words. God made me, God made me, something simple like that. And so feel free to utilize those things. Look at what's going on, or just sing. Babies like soft, soothing voices, calms them down. Rocking, repetitive motion, that's really important. And so get down, play with them. Those little babies that are crawling on the floor, or they're underneath the mobile, play with the mobile. Get down. Don't just put a baby down under a mobile and sit in the chair. Okay, we want you to interact and love those babies well. One thing that's very important for little ones is to make sure that you are supporting baby's head at all times. Their necks are not very strong. They're building up those muscles, and you don't know exactly where they are developmentally. And so we always want to support babies' heads at all times. That's very important. Some ways that you can calm a crying baby are by rocking, maybe in the chair, sometimes standing and rocking back and forth, swaying a little bit, bouncing gently, strolling. Maybe they have some strollers, and some babies love the motion of being strolled up and down the hallway, right? Maybe a bouncy seat and sitting there in that. Make sure that baby isn't hungry. Follow the feeding instructions. that parent has given you. But if you suspect, this baby might be hungry and you're not completely certain what to do, well, get with a contact. Usually there's a walkie-talkie or someone is on the hall where you are that can contact parent and make sure that those things are taken care of. But if they've given instructions that there's a bottle, use the bottle. Look and find the bottle. Try everything you can so that parent can stay in the service as long as possible. But you know what? If there's just no consoling that baby, it might be that parent needs to be called. So make sure that you connect with the contact at the church, and they may need to call the parent. And sometimes that contact knows that child, knows just what they need, knows the specific book that they like read to them. So ask for any ideas. Try lots of different things. Remain calm. Don't get angry. Baby isn't crying to make your life miserable. Baby is crying because something isn't right. And so do your best to see if you can figure out what that is by consoling, rocking, playing, changing positions, feeding, bouncing, sleeping. Sometimes babies get the crankiest before they go to sleep. So, we just want to do our best to try all those different things. For toddlers, often, they're a little bit older than those babies. You can engage and distract a toddler by getting down right on their level and reading books or playing with some toys with them. Often they can be distracted from whatever it is that's bothering them. So give those things a try. Engaging with children is the most important, right? Getting on their level and working. As far as discipline goes, sorry, I had to cough. So I had to pause that for a second. As far as discipline goes for a child, if a little toddler is biting or hitting or showing aggressive behavior of any kind, we want to address that immediately. Try using timeout, try distracting, removing them from the situation. If they're biting a child, remove them from that other child. Sometimes they're fighting over toys. They don't understand sharing yet. They're too young to understand. So distract, share, try those different things. With that toddler, often discipline things happen because that toddler can't really communicate what they're trying to say, and so they're frustrated. So get down right on their level, gently, lovingly. You might even want to take their little hands. If they're hitting and different things, take their little hands in your hands very gently and just say, are you being as kind as you can be? Let's use kind hands, gentle hands. Be sweet. Those kinds of words, and you're using your hands to distract them and from what they're doing, right? And getting angry. You might talk about, we want to be kind to our friends. Let's love our friends. Those kinds of things. That can help. Biting, hitting, pushing are not kind. So we want to remove them from that situation. We want to get a handle on that. It might be necessary to stay really close to that child for the remainder of the service. I mean, if they're struggling, you stay right there so that they aren't biting. We don't really want to have a parent come pick up their child and say, I'm sorry for the huge bite marks on their arm. So we've got to stay engaged with the situation. Your first form of defense or whatever is to be with that child, be one-on-one, remove from the situation. Are you being kind? Then you may need to talk to the contact person, because if it continues, if it's out of hand, they might need to call a parent. You want that contact to know about the situation so that they can talk to parent, maybe at pickup. There are lots of different ways that churches handle that. Anybody in a church nursery that's been working for a long time knows that those kinds of things happen. And so they were going to want to talk to the parent and try to figure out a solution to the situation. But that's not your job. So your job is to keep all of the children in your care safe and engaged and as happy as you can, and being kind and gentle. And so we're using positive reinforcement, removing them from the situation, kind and gentle hands, gentle language. Let's not hit. We want to be kind to our friends. Distraction, and most of those things work the best. Okay. Never, never hit a child. We are not into spanking. We don't pop somebody's hand. We don't do that. Parents decide those kinds of disciplinary measures, not Kidman Care. And so don't ever hit a child. Don't ever pop their hand. That might be what you're used to with a little brother or sister, or what you've seen done, in a babysitting situation, but that is not our policy. So never hit a child. Timeout is the only disciplinary action we'll use, and a good rule of thumb is give 1 minute of timeout for every year of the child's age. So, if they're a little 1-year-old, you're trying to say, let's take a timeout, breathe for 1 minute. Now, most likely they're not going to just sit in that chair without you. So you may need to say, we're going to take a breath. We're going to take a time out, and we talk, and we're gentle. The other thing is redirection works really so well most of the time. Often for toddlers, that's all they need is to be redirected. I couldn't get that word out. Redirected to another toy, to another situation, moved around, and then it's just taken care of. So that's what we want to do. If a child is really out of control, having an all-out temper tantrum, the church contact is the one that might remove the child from the area and call the parents, because we need to keep all of the children safe. And so sometimes some little kiddos are just having a bad day. They're having a meltdown. They're not a bad child. They're just a toddler. And so they can take care of that situation. We don't want to get into holding a child down unless they're in some way a danger to themselves. I mean, if they're really having an all-out kicking, screaming, we might hold gently, but we really want to be careful. And that's something that you're going to defer to a parent. All right. And the last thing I want to touch on with babies and toddlers, second to the last thing, I want to talk about changing diapers in a second too, is if there's a medical emergency of any kind. In the event of a life-threatening emergency, 911. Right? We just don't mess around. 911 should be called immediately by the first person who is able. The church contact should then be notified to contact the parent. If the injury does not appear life-threatening, the church contact should be notified. Okay, so only if it's life-threatening, then we dial 911. Anything else after that, if child doesn't seem to want to calm down, is really crying, seems upset, seems in pain, church contact, and they'll get with parents. Okay, so we want to be careful that we take the best care possible. The last thing I wanted to touch on for real is changing diapers, and I'm just going to talk a little bit. We want you to watch a specific training video on the proper diaper changing procedures. But as far as generally in changing diapers, we want you to use gloves. It's very important. Make sure you thoroughly wash your hands before changing a diaper and after changing a diaper. And at a church, we want to use whatever situation they have set up. Most churches have changing tables with paper covering that is fresh for each child. Sometimes you will use the diaper in the diaper bag, and some parents want you to do that. Some churches have spare diapers available if needed. But sometimes parents have specific things they want on their child, a specific kind of diaper. Some are cloth diapers, some are organic diapers, and some wipes that they use are organic wipes, and so we really want to defer to what the parent wants. That's what's important. We want to use safe practices and wash our hands. Never leave a child to turn to do anything, so you're going to gather everything that you need before you put that child on the changing table. So if you need to get something out of their bag, you're going to gather all those things first. Not put a child down and go and grab some things, assuming that they can't roll off and fall or whatever. We want to follow those safe practices. And so we do have a separate video. I won't go into more things, but that's general practice for changing a diaper. And some churches, just so you know, because a video might not let you know that, some churches have a just changed sticker or some kind of sticker or process so that you know that they were changed. And so go ahead and follow that procedure. The contact should let you know if they have a form that they have filled out, and you write down, when baby was fed and when baby was changed and those kinds of things. That can help parents. You might want to make a note. Was it a poop or was it just wet? Because some parents, that's helpful information for them to know. And so that is baby toddler training. Just remember, these are the precious little ones. Parents are nervous, sometimes first time parents. This can be a scary thing. They don't know you. So do everything you can to help them to feel comfortable and confident in dropping their little ones off to your care. Then from the beginning to the end, engage, love them, talk gently and sweetly, rock, do all the things that you can, engage with those babies to help them have a wonderful stay in your care so that parents are able to hear the message or do the activity that they're at the church for. But if it's out of control, if it just gets crazy, if there's no consoling baby, that's when we make sure we get the church contact and they can get the parents. And then we try again. Thanks for listening to Baby and Toddlers. I'll meet you in preschool.